So the third team that I'll be previewing for the 2026 season of the IPL is the Mumbai Indians. And Mumbai obviously had a lot of their team sorted going into the auction. They didn't have a big purse as well going there because whatever changes they wanted to make, most of them they covered in the transfer window itself with Shardul Thakur coming in and Sherfane Rutherford coming in. They traded those two players in. Arjun Tendulkar obviously left to LSG. So they had those two changes early on, and going into the auction, they had the smallest purse compared to all the other teams. They didn't have much to do, and I think they went in and still had a good buy in De Kock, who they got for his base price. So over and all, there's not much to talk about their auction because दे मतलब जरूरत ही नहीं थी उनको कुछ ज्यादा करने की even like even in the trading when they bought Thakur or Rutherford was just to increase some strength and some add some strength to that team and get some squad depth to the team. And I think for that reason I think they made those changes, but I think overall they didn't require anything particularly because this team has got a lot of big stars already, as we know. I think most of their players play for their international teams or are experienced. Like I said, that's why Mumbai did well last season as well. I mean, they have a superstar team. You've got Hardik Pandya as the captain, who obviously is the best all-rounder in T20 cricket. They've got Bumrah, who's who's not one of, he's the best bowler in T20 cricket, definitely. So with those two, the Suryakumar Yadav, who once was the number one batsman, and he did have a good season for them last year as well, despite him having a poor run for India. He did well in the IPL, and they've got Rohit at the top, obviously experience of Rohit Sharma, and then even apart from that, everywhere I think Trent Boult is there, who's experienced. Deepak Chahar has been in the IPL for close to 7, 8 years, more than 8 years, 8 years at least. So uh, with having all of these kinds of players, they obviously had that strength of the experience that they needed to kind of go and do well, and obviously that worked quite well for them to take them to the playoffs, but they couldn't pull it off to against Punjab when the way Shreyas Iyer batted obviously was great, but I think Mumbai fell short last season in that way. The year before that, obviously they finished last, so it was kind of a good comeback from that for them last year. I think the major thing is, again, like I said, going into this year's IPL, what they would probably like is that team that was sort of having one or two areas where they were a little weak. I think they've identified that and kind of covered it. Uh, if you look at their team, that probably is their best lineup is Rohit to start with. De Kock now. I think I'm going with De Kock, Rickelton, both of the players they have. South African wicketkeeper openers that both left-handers. Uh, I think this added. I mean, De Kock's addition is extremely good for them. He's been in their team in their golden era when they won back to back, and he was obviously doing well for them back then. So. He's come back out of retirement and started to play for South Africa as well as been named in the World Cup squad. Rickelton hasn't been. Rickelton isn't a part of the South African side for the World Cup, so I think kind of makes their decision also. We can see what they'll be doing. I think De Kock should be the preferred choice, and so Rohit and De Kock to open the batting. Uh, the one thing that I feel is there is Suryakumar Yadav, Tilak Verma was their key players in that middle order last season. Suryakumar obviously did well. Tilak Verma had a few good games, a few games where he was kind of uh, not at his best. But the thing is कि जब इंडिया के लिए खेलते हैं तब तिलक वर्मा को अभी नंबर 3 पे बहुत चांसेस मिल रहे हैं एंड सूर्य कुमार यादव ने in one of the interviews he went after post match interviews he said कि तिलक वर्मा is definitely the number 3 for India. तो अब मुंबई के लिए नंबर 3 पे कौन खेलेगा क्योंकि हार्दिक पांड्या इज द कैप्टन इट्स नॉट सूर्या. So will Surya be number 3 because Surya was playing number 3 for them last year and he scored 30 plus in every inning that he played last season, so he had a good time there. So will Surya Kumar bat at 3 again and change what is going to be like? I mean, it depends on how the obviously World Cup is there before, so that's there. 3 and 4 is Surya Kumar and Tilak Verma. They'll have to figure that out. Will Jacks was their other foreign, batter who can who can bowl a little last season, but I think this season they've added Sherfane Rutherford, and I think the reason why they brought him in is probably because what he can provide as a left-handed batsman in the middle order. He can hit the long ball, and he's obviously strong batter, strong hitter. So I think Rutherford probably is going to be preferred over Will Jacks, even though Jacks bowls. I think Rutherford will probably start as the number 5. Hardik obviously will have to do the work of the finisher here again, and I think obviously put himself in that position where he has to kind of take the responsibility of the team in that role. So I think Hardik at six. Namandir was extremely good last season. I think I don't think he got talked about, but I think Namandir had a good campaign last season, so I think he will be number seven. Uh, again, bowling kind of looks similar to the last team. I mean, obviously, अभी तक की जो team है पूरी almost same ही है. Like last year, I think Rutherford and de Kock coming in probably have put Rickelton and Jacks probably out because Jacks doesn't hasn't done so well for England as well. So I think Rutherford, the profile that Rutherford brings, I think Jacks is more of a top order player, and I don't think they have a lot of. I mean, their top four is kind of sorted, so they don't need a top order player. So I think Rutherford would be number five. And yeah, I mean, again with the ball, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, Santner had was the player that played well for them last season as well. He'll probably be the starting spinner. He plays at eight, gives you batting depth as well. And then you go on to the fast bowlers. There's Bumrah, obviously. There's Bolt, and they at number nine again. I mean, these two are 10 and 11. Number nine के लिए भी उनके पास एक choice है. Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur में से किसको खिलाना है? I think Shardul Thakur being bought in tells you that they probably wanted to add depth. Deepak Chahar didn't have a good campaign for them last season. He had one or two games where he was decent, but I think apart from that, it was not a campaign to remember for him. So I think उस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि शायद से they'll probably lean towards Thakur. Thakur can bat a little bit more than Chahar as well. It really depends on what they want from that bowler because Trent Boult gives you three overs up top if you have enough depth to enough support for Bumrah at the end. And I think Shardul Thakur is probably more of a death bowler than Chahar, even though he hasn't done so well in the last few years. I think Shardul Thakur will be the player who will play uh, as the death bowler alongside Bumrah better than what Deepak Chahar will. So I think Shardul Thakur probably might get picked because of that because Bolt has been absolutely horrible when he's bowled at the death. So I think Trent Bolt probably 2-3 overs with the new ball up front is what they want. Another way that they could go is if they don't want to play another spinner, they can play both of these, and you've got four pacers and Santner as your five bowlers with Hardik as well. So that adds a lot of pace. I think because of that, I don't think that is what they'll do. I think it will be one of Chahar and Thakur to play at number nine, and only and then they'll play another spinner at as the impact player probably in Mayank Markande who they've brought back. I think he was someone who has played for them before as well, and he had I think against CSK in the opening game he picked up 4 wickets. I think it was 2018 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 2018 when he when Bravo got that amazing inning in the opening game and Kedar Jadhav finished the game off. I think that was the game. So I think they've added someone who has played for them in the past because they had their worries with the spin department. Karan Sharma ko khilaya tha last time, and I mean I think last time पहले Karan Sharma was also there once. Piyush Chawla was there, so I think Karan Sharma, Piyush Chawla, as both players they've tried out, but it's not worked. I think they needed one Indian spinner, and I think they've looked at someone who has done well for them, even though he hasn't had success in the last few years wherever he's gone and played. So I think Mayank Markande is probably going to be the choice. One more player that they had picked last season for their as a frontline spinner who didn't get to play because of injury was Allah Ghazanfar from Afghanistan. He's retained, so he's going to be there. तो आई थिंक उसको शायद से खिला सकते हैं और वो करने के लिए शायद से फिर आपको एक इंडियन बैट्समैन लेना पड़ेगा इन द बैटिंग लाइनअप एंड ड्रॉप रदरफोर्ड और इफ दे don't play Santner, which I don't think will happen. But I mean, something like that they'll have to do because I mean they've got options there. If Bolt doesn't have a good game, Bolt's not having a good form, he's injured or something like that, and they want to play both Chahar and Thakur, which again, all of these are just scenarios that I'm trying to tell. Nothing of this is going to be a part of the starting plans. So I think us वजह से maybe they can shuffle around. They've got Corbin Bosch as well as a backup. He's done really well for South Africa. We saw against India in the ODI series as well. Bosch was he was batting at 9 and he was scoring runs. So I think Corbin Bosch is another good player to have as a backup. They've got Will Jacks, like I said. If Rutherford is a starting choice, Will Jacks is another great backup to have in that team. And then they've built themselves a team that has few options there. And apart from that, they've brought in some young players. Ashwani Kumar who played a few games for them. Raghu Sharma is there, and then they've got four other uncapped Indian players: Mohammed Salahuddin, Ankolkar, Mayank Rawat, and Raj Bawa. So I think they've got those options there. Robin Minz as well, one the wicket keeper from Jharkhand that they brought. He didn't do well whenever he got a few chances last year. But yeah, I mean it's kind of like it's quite the same team from last year. They've just tried to address a few areas that probably were lacking, and that's why they couldn't win. or probably go the distance last season. That's why I think those changes have been made. Apart from that, it's basically the same unit. Their basic strengths are that they have got these superstar players. It can also become a weakness where there is no role clarity if that is the case. Again, like I said, kisko teen, kisko char, kya hai, matlab that middle order. If Surya is number three, if he's not going to be playing number three at the World Cup, will he continue to play three like he did for Mumbai last season? Is another thing. Can Tilak then probably be picked at three, or does it depend on who gets out? So will Rohit Sharma's form be there? Because the the game that he's played right now, the series that he's played against New Zealand right now. He had a terrible ODI series against New Zealand just now. So after this, they'll directly go and play the IPL because they're not playing any T20s. So apart from that, I think Rohit's form is also a concern. It's always been a concern for Mumbai. With the bat, he's never really had a great season. Last season, I think he did quite well. He had, I think, two, three good knocks. So I think that was a good positive. At the start of the tournament, he was absolutely struggling, but I think he picked off from that in somewhere midway and then had a few good innings. So I think because of that, I feel ki Rohit Sharma ki batting be important there, because now that he's not playing for you as a captain, his batting really needs to be the center of focus about, because he's a starting opener that you have, that you need those runs from him. Who is playing three, who is playing four is one thing that I want to see what they do, because does it depend on what India does and what I think Tilak Verma, पता नहीं Tilak Verma खेलेंगे या नहीं, because he's injured right now. He's going to miss the New Zealand series, most of it at least, and possibly also the World Cup. So if he misses that, then we don't know, because Shreyas Iyer has been picked right now in the Indian squad. So it really depends on that. Rutherford, Jacks, किसको खिलाएंगे? I think Rutherford probably will be the choice for the reason that I said before. Hardik पे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है, मतलब obviously he's doing really well right now, so I think he's again a key player, because bowling, batting both, and the way he bats at that number, I think there are very few players who can do that. So I mean, there's quite literally not a lot of, like, he can probably handful players you can name that can do what Hardik Pandya can do on his average day. A lot of people have their best day, not even close to that. So I think Hardik Pandya is probably a key player in that team for that reason. And like I said, these superstar players make them a very strong team. They've addressed whatever was a little weak for them last season, and even then better to kind of make sure that doesn't get repeated this year, and those weaknesses are not exposed this year again. And that experienced talent that is there in this team is obviously, I mean, it's in a big tournament like this, always come in helpful for the team. The weaknesses, I believe, again, like Indian fast bowling is one thing that I feel, because Bumrah ke, I mean, it's very hard to have a backup for Bumrah, because there's no one literally you can have as good, and you'll always say ki any player, if it's a backup for Bumrah, it's not going to be good enough. But Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur, experienced है, बहुत साल खेले हैं, CSK के लिए खेले हैं, बहुत, they've been around, but neither of them are at a point in their career where they're really doing well, and that you bank on them to be a 14 game player. तो अश्वनी कुमार है उसके बाद. So I think that Indian bowling looks a little weak, I feel. One spinner, I felt like, I mean, Mayank Markande is someone that has worked for them in the past, but he hasn't had good IPL seasons in the last few years. So will he be able to do as well as he was doing for them back then? And apart from that, there's not a lot of options. अल्लाह गजनफर को खिलाने के लिए आप किसी फॉरेनर को बाहर बिठाना पड़ेगा, जो भी मुश्किल है, और उनको खिलाया तो भी it's his first season. So I mean, what are the expectations that are being set? I don't know if they're going to be, those kind of returns are going to be, received for Mumbai. So I think that is also probably a little weakness. Bolt's form, I feel, is one more thing, because Bolt last season was not good. He went for a lot of runs. पहले early wicket जो मिलते थे वो मिले, but not as frequently as it was in the past. You could see the decline, and obviously he's on the other side of his career, so it's obvious. But do you have a backup for Bolt? I don't think you do. So bowling में थोड़ा सा weakness लग रहा है. Corbin Bosch है, but I mean he's not a like for like. I mean what Bolt does for you, Bosch doesn't do that. He bats a little. That's added strength in the batting. But bowling के मतलब उसमें I don't think they've got a backup for Bolt. So I think one of the weakness that I feel is there. If you look on paper, you see superstar names, but then if there's one injury in the bowling, who is coming up and covering up for you? So I think उसके लिए मैं बोलूँगा कि थोड़ा सा उनका, I mean, that is one area that I felt like they are lacking a little. They have got players. शार्दुल ठाकुर को लाया उसी लिए मुझे लगता है, मतलब obviously, but I mean it still feels like a little weak in that in a way I feel. Uh, and is there, I think it's something that people say is not something that I mean I personally believe that people just want to do get entertainment out of it. But is there a problem of plenty superstars in one dressing room, and that I don't think it is, because obviously these players have played for India for a long time. There's no one immature there who can't handle big players around. So I think other big players around. So I think that should not be an issue, and that I don't think was an issue last season as well. It just comes down to the fact that who knows their role best and how they can do it. Because other than that, there's nothing that is weak in this Mumbai team. Everybody is literally you know one of the best in the position that they're playing in the world. So I think for that reason, Mumbai has a very good chance of making it to the playoffs. And if they don't, it will be very disappointing for them, I feel like, because they have got the players to do more than just that. So I think for that reason, I feel like Mumbai should be, one of the contenders to be qualifying for sure. But I mean, it just all comes down to whether they get. I mean, obviously injuries and all you can't really predict. But if something like that happens, there's not a lot of backup in the bowling, I feel. And batting wise, I think they have those options that can come in, and again, not a lot, but I feel like they still do. What has happened is the fact that because they've got so many superstar players, it really depends on those players firing. अगर उनका उतना जो performance आपको चाहिए वो नहीं है, तो because you spend so much on buying these superstar players, there's not a lot of backups that are there in the team that can come in and do the job. So I think these superstar players experience whatever there is. If that comes in well, Mumbai are favorites to qualify. I'm in all of these videos. I'm just talking about qualifying because jeetna harna bahut. I mean, you can't really predict that before qualifying. Ke hisab se you can only speak as of now, and even right now. I mean, I'm doing this in January. It's still a couple of months away. So for now, I think whatever is there, there's a lot of things that change. With there's a big World Cup before that, so that can be a major deciding factor in a lot of these teams' fates. But for now, what I can see is what I'm basing this entire analysis on. So I think for that reason, I feel like Mumbai have got a good chance of qualifying, and if they don't, it's shameful for them. I feel like because इतने सब player लेने के बाद अगर आप नहीं कर पाते, so it's not. I mean, then that's really would be very disappointing for their fans. So yeah, I think that's it for Mumbai. We'll have to see how it goes for them. And yeah, after this I'll do GT.